Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I'm your host, Kelly Taylor. Follow us on Instagram at I Feel Fat Today. Follow me on Instagram, your host, at Hello, This is Kelly. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have full video episodes just like this one. And leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. And then you can never talk to me again. How about that? That's not what I would prefer, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Hey, back to another early morning episode, yet another busy week, and yet another solo episode. I don't really like to do solos back to back, but we had some scheduling conflict. We had some people with COVID, which I do think is an excuse I've used before in the past, but hey, people be getting COVID. So I'm going to work on my scheduling efforts so that the solo episodes happen organically and not out of a need-based situation. But next week we'll be back with a guest, hopefully. But thank you for being here. I find that the solo episodes are fun. You know, we can get a little loosey-goosey. It's more about me, which I love. Yeah. Okay, awesome. So I don't have much. It's going to be a shorter episode, all right? Because I do also have to start work in less than an hour. But someone asked, I don't know if someone asked, no, I don't think I was asked this like in person. I think I may have been watching a show, or maybe I saw a meme. I don't know how all this different information gets into my little bird brain. But I saw a thing that was like, what makes me happy? Like that question was posed. What makes you happy? And my honest answer is kicking back. Like maybe it's because I feel like I've been like working a lot these past 2 weeks, or actually this past lifetime, but it's not even working that hard compared to like physical labor that other people in like poverty have to do. But yeah, for me, it's like, I feel like between comedy and podcasting and my day job, like even if I have a Saturday or a Sunday evening that's free where I can just like be home, I feel guilty for being home. And when has the art of relaxing been lost on me? Because I need it dearly. Like, I'm not a social person. I like going out, but my social battery needs to recharge. You know, I like working hard, but damn if I'm not a morning person and I need to, you know, sleep, because I am a night person. Like, it doesn't matter how early I got up today. I could say I'm really tired and try to get in bed by like 9 p.m. I'm up at 1 and not always scrolling. Sometimes I'm just thinking because it's always like after midnight when like the thoughts really creep in. Well, I guess maybe like 11 p.m. 11 p.m. to 2 p.m. is prime, like, never mind doom scrolling. It's doom thinking. And that's why we doom scroll, because these thoughts, man, they're eating my brain. Okay. So yeah, what makes me happy? Just kicking back, just relaxing. You know, I like making money because I like living. I like having a home. You know, I am at the point in my life where if I could just not stress about money all the goddamn time, it would be a lot easier. But, you know, I saw this TikTok. This is going to be a heavy TikTok based episode. We're going to have a lot of visuals this episode. Hopefully we don't get copywritten for anything. But I saw this one TikTok that I'm not going to show because I don't have it queued up here. But I saw this one TikTok where Rob Dyrdek was talking about, he was like being interviewed about money, and it was just a snippet of a conversation. And in the interview, Rob was talking about, like, when I got successful, I made millions and I spent millions. And he's like, just like when I was poor, like any money that came in immediately went out. And so the cycle of poverty continued, just on a much different scale. And I saw that and it hit me, and I was like, damn, I am bad with money. Like, I've always known this, but it really hit me in that moment, because it doesn't matter the amount of money I have coming in. Like, I'll if I get like a good chunk of change that comes in for something, like that gives me like a few weeks of not having to stress about money. And then I'm like, this is kind of like money and deadlines for me are the same. Like, if I have a deadline, if I have, like, for example, I had a meeting yesterday that I was dreading, and then it got pushed to today. So that gave me like 24 more hours to work on this thing. And I had like such a sense of relief, but I didn't work on it the way that I was supposed to. So now I'm back here in the same spot I was yesterday, dreading it again because I didn't use that time. And I was like that for everything. If a professor gave me an extension on something, it would give me like 2 weeks of feeling like euphoric and happy that like, oh, I have all this time. And then here we are again at the deadline, and I'm like stressing to get it done because I'm just like the ultimate procrastinator. And it kind of feels like money is the same. But I am getting better with the money thing. You know, there is a savings account that has money in it. It's just the not taking the money out of the savings account that I have to work on. But yeah, what makes me happy? Just relaxing. And like, obviously my dog and like, you know, blah, 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 blah. But in terms of like me personally, no outside people or forces. Like, because even comedy, I love comedy. I love doing comedy. There is such a dread before going in to do something. I don't care if it's comedy or whatever. Like, anytime I have an event or an obligation, I'm just like, I would do anything for this to be canceled. And then when it's over, when I do it, I'm enjoying it. And then when it's over, it's like, oh, I feel so good for having done that. So I don't know what it is. It's probably a lot of avoidance happening. Okay. And then what's next? Breaking. Google Ads hates fat people. Sorry. That's just what it is. Google Ads hates fat people. I'm mostly joking, but I say that because I have, I'm trying to increase this listenership, and I thought, what are the ways that I can do that isn't putting a million clips out on social media, which I know I need to do, but what's something I can do that I can kind of just like throw money at the problem, you know, and put in as little work as possible. And that's ads. And so I put ads behind one of the episodes. I think it was the Jessica Rotundi episode. Because I thought that was a really good conversation. And if, you know, there was somebody that was going to like be like, you know, intro to I Feel Fat Today, that's like a good, step in episode. And it was doing great. We got a few new subscribers from it, and it got a lot of eyes on it. And then all of a sudden I get an email that my ad was disapproved for shocking content. It said something about like, I was talking about Ozempic, and I never even mentioned Ozempic in that video, in that podcast. So I don't know. I don't know why Google Ads discriminates against fat people, but hey, here we are. What do you want from me? Okay. All right. So what I have today is I have some TikToks. I don't know if I'm going to go through all of them, but I just want to watch them and we can discuss. So this first this first TikTok I want to look at is, this is just a silly one. It is, this came up on my feed, and I have a little folder where I'll put TikToks aside to be like, okay, talk about this on the podcast, whatever. And so I came across this and full body chills the first time I saw it, because I was like, damn, this commercial ruled my life for a very, 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 from a very young age. This commercial came out about 20 years ago, which would be 2003, 4. And I remember watching it and being like, thinking like, oh, my body is not bikini ready. And so, yeah, we're going to watch it.
New news from Yoplait Light. It's clinically shown to help you burn
Fuck you, Yoplait.
more fat and lose more weight than just cutting calories alone.
She wore an itsy bitsy teeny weeny.
Yoplait Light. Burn more fat, lose more weight.
That commercial plagued me. And in what world can a yogurt claim that they can help you burn more fat? Like, what is that's like on these Celsius cans that I see. I first off, okay, I've definitely have said this on the podcast before. Celsius, it's going to be the new Four Loko. It's going to be the thing where it's like, oh, there were dangerously high levels of caffeine in these things that isn't legal. We got to take it off the shelves and redo the formula. But Celsius will have like boosts metabolism on there. And I'm like, this is why people think it's a health drink. It's a Red Bull fully charged, but no, people think it's a health drink. And yeah, so I thought that was good to put onto the podcast, because was anybody else personally victimized by that Yoplait yogurt commercial? At the time, it seemed so innocuous. At the time, it just was like an annoying commercial that got like stuck in your ear, and probably made you buy more Yoplait, which I guess good job. But I saw that and I remember thinking like, my body isn't bikini ready. Yeah, so there is that one. Okay, next TikTok. Moving on. So this one I have an article associated with it after we look at it. This TikTok is a snippet of the amazing HRH. If you follow the I Feel Fat Today Instagram, she is often featured on my Instagram story. Because she just says really funny things about, you know, how she's fat and how she advises young women to not go to college, to take that money and invest it into their beauty so that they can find a husband. And of course, like, you can look at that and with a non-comical eye and be like, that's horrible that she would tell people to do that. But on the real, I'm fucking tired. And it's like, oh man, if maybe I had put more thought into the way that I look, I could just be a trad wife, you know, baking up some muffins and having like an unbelievably clean house and, you know, give my husband a blowjob a few times a week and live the good life. But no, I'm out here, you know, with fucked up nail polish and bags under my eyes because I'm trying to do what? Be successful? It's exhausting. So I really appreciate HRH because she says really out of pocket stuff that it's just like, oof, I feel that, man. Like that's real. I may not agree with you wholeheartedly, but like you're speaking to the little gremlin in my brain that like needs to hear that there was that option. Okay, so this is a TikTok of a snippet from HRH where she talks about why she's fat.
I have the fat gene, and every calorie my body absorbs. It takes the calorie and it just like sticks it in my stomach. Okay, that's the truth.
Iconic, truly. And so the reason why I brought that talk up because I want to talk about the fat gene, because what the fuck is the fat gene? Is that a real thing? Like, are there people that you get a calorie, you eat a calorie and it just sticks it into their stomach? Do I have the fat gene? I mean, I don't know, and we won't find out this episode, but I thought what a good thing to explore, because I feel like the fat gene is something that's talked about, but I don't really know what it is. I don't know if that's just something people say when like you come from a line of like fat families or fat people. So I found an article from newsmedical.net. It's a .net, so hopefully that means it's reputable. I don't know. And I don't know who's funding this website, so keep that in mind as well. But this goes through what the fat gene is and etc. So, okay, fat mass and obesity associated gene, FTO. Okay, obesity arises when a person has a calorie intake that is consistently more than is required for their metabolic rate and level of physical activity. The prevalence of obesity has rapidly increased over recent decades. This has been attributed to what is referred to as an obesogenetic environment, the availability of calorie-rich foods and drinks, but limited opportunity to engage in physical activity. Excuse me 1 second. I have to edit this out. Oh, fuck, not a bloody nose.
God damn it. God damn it.
Well, guys, I stopped to blow my nose because I felt like I was really nasally and I got a massive bloody nose. So, oh Lord, where am I at? Okay, well, 5 of that was me trying to stop this bloody nose, which I haven't been able to stop. Do I keep going? Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Wow, cannot believe I got a bloody nose in the middle of this episode. It's at bay. I'm hoping I don't have any blood spatter. I'll cut it out if that happens. This is not an Eli Roth film. This is a podcast. But yeah, whoa, that was frustrating. Because, of course, it happened, like, when I'm down to the wire time-wise. Okay, keeping it moving. All right. The prevalence of obesity has rapidly increased over decades. This has been attributed to what is referred to as the obesogenetic environment, the availability of calorie-rich foods and drinks, but limited opportunity to engage in physical activity. However, even within such an environment, obesity is not always the outcome for everybody. In fact, studies have shown a genetic element to much of the weight variation that is seen between individuals. The gene that has been most strongly and frequently associated with susceptibility to obesity is the fat mass and obesity associated FTO gene, which has the most influence on body mass index of all known genes. Initially, scientists found an association between obesity and a specific FTO variant, but the mechanism by which the gene Oh my God. I don't know if anybody listening or watching has dealt with bloody noses on a frequent basis, but I've dealt with them my whole life. And the reason why a bloody nose is a gusher is usually because there's like a clot. Okay, trigger warning. There's like a clot that is in there, and that's why the blood keeps coming out, flowing out of your nose. And I'm trying to get through recording this podcast, and so I was able to stop at my bloody nose as best as I could and was just sort of like sniffling anything that could come out of my nose back. And as I'm sitting here reading this article, the clot came through my mouth and I just spit it up. Ugh. That happened on camera. Maybe I'll post it to the Instagram. Oh, wow. Okay. Where was I? I guess I'll take that from the top. The gene that has been the most strongly and frequently associated with susceptibility to obesity is the fat mass and obesity associated FTO gene, which has the most influence on body mass index of all known genes. Initially, scientists found an association between obesity and a specific FTO variant, but the mechanism by which the gene regulates fat and weight and predisposes to obesity remains unclear. The FTO gene comes in two forms, a high obesity risk variant and a low obesity risk variant. Each person inherits 2 copies of this gene, one from each parent. Among people who inherit 2 high-risk copies, the risk of obesity is thought to increase by around 70%. In 2013, Rachel Batterham from University College London and colleagues conducted a study that included 359 healthy, normal weight males who were divided into those who had 2 high-risk FTO genes and those who were low risk. The study, which was published in the Journal of Clinical Investigation, showed that people with the high obesity risk FTO variant had increased circulating levels of the hunger hormone ghrelin after they had eaten. After eating, the ghrelin level did not fall as low in these high-risk individuals as did among the low-risk men. It also began to climb more quickly following meals, suggesting that the high-risk men did not suppress ghrelin as appropriately after eating. In further tests, the researchers performed real-time magnetic resonance imaging on the brain in a different group of high-risk and low-risk men after they had eaten. The high-risk men rated pictures of calorie-rich foods as more appealing after they had eaten more often than a low-risk men did. The brain scans also showed differences between the groups and how the men's brains responded to images of food. The most significant differences were between the brain's reward regions and the hypothalamus, a brain region known to regulate appetite. Batterham says the high-risk men are biologically programmed to eat more. Not only do these men have higher ghrelin levels and therefore feel hungrier, their brains respond differently to ghrelin and to pictures of food. Understanding how FTO affects risk of becoming overweight could help patients, says Batterham. For example, activities such as cycling are known to lower ghrelin levels, and anything that suppresses the hormone is likely to be of benefit to high-risk individuals. In another study by researchers at Oxford University, the FTO gene seemed to have a significant influence on the amount of fat cells produced in response to overeating. The study, which is published in Nature Communications, examined the role of FTO in adipogenesis, the production of fat cells from stem cells, in mice that had been genetically geared to lack FTO or to overexpress it. The team found that cells with overexpressed FTO were more likely to become fat cells than cells without FTO. In addition, the mice with overexposed FTO made more new fat cells than mice without FTO. Senior author of the paper, Brian Stella, says individuals with high levels of FTO gene may be more likely to become obese due to increased production of fat cells, which would expand storage capacity and favor the disposition of energy over energy burning. Wow. Yes, we got through that. But yeah, so that article talked about this FTO gene. I don't know if you can get tested for this gene. I've never had my genetics tested. Is that something 23andMe could tell you, that you have a specific fat gene? I would love to know personally, because I've always felt like I'm doomed to be in a fat body, which I know is not a politically correct thing, and I'm getting over this feeling that it's a death sentence or, you know, a life wagered difficult. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because at the very top of this article, they talk about how there, you know, the different factors to obesity, and a lot of it is overconsumption of calories and lack of calorie spending. But we've seen people, you know, like when you think of a white trash person, I think of a skinny person, and a white trash person is someone that, you know, doesn't exercise and eats McDonald's. Like, why are they not obese? And it's genetics. So now you know, the more you know. Also, something to note that I believe in this article, the FTO gene testing that they did was on men. So I'm sure we could find much different information when women are tested. Men and mice, that's who get precedent when testing anything in the science community. Okay. I don't really know where we're at time-wise because I had to stop down to stop my horrific bloody nose. Oh, my God. Let me see if I have time for this next article. Yes. Okay. So, in talking about the FTO gene, that got me thinking. If our genetics play a role in how our body stores nutrients, is there any relevance to a DNA-based diet? If our genetics inform how our bodies will hold on to calories. And so initially I was doing some research on ancestral diets, which maybe I'll do a whole episode on it exclusively, but it seems like it could be baloney, ancestral diets, based on what I saw on the internet, especially because I couldn't find any reputable government source for ancestral diets. And it got a little bit like Jordan Peterson-y, which, no shade to him. People hate him. I don't know. I don't know enough about him to know why. I just know him as like the make your bed guy. But I think like he's into like a carnivore based diet, which is like a part of ancestral diets. I don't know. All that to say is I don't have anything on ancestral diets, but what I do have is an article from today.com on if DNA based diets work, because we were just talking about the fat gene, FTO. Could there be a diet based on my DNA that I should be following to yield a better body? Okay. So this was from 2020, I believe June of 2020. So the person writing this probably just wanted to forget about what was happening in the world in June of 2020. This is from today. The person is Kristen Kirkpatrick. And the article is, do DNA-based diets work? Will you succeed or fail on a ketogenic diet? Will exercise be more important than food choices if you want to lose weight? The answer to these questions may lie in your genes. Genetic analysis is contributing to a growing area of nutritional medicine that offers dietary prescriptions, including personalized diet plans on I had this word down last night. Including personalized diet plans based on nutrigenomics to help people make more informed decisions about their lifestyle habits and health. The Cleveland Clinic has been providing personalized nutrigenomic testing for several years. As a dietitian there, you can see firsthand the benefits it provides to patients. It's especially useful for patients who have found themselves stuck in their weight loss efforts. Having a genetic insight into the types of diets that work best for them often increase both compliance and sustainability. I pinpoint about 5 of the most important genes to focus on with my patients based on their goals. This may involve changing the type of workout they are doing, altering the percentages of fat and protein in their diet, suggesting specific supplements like methylated folate or vitamin B12, and increasing certain nutrients from food like vitamin A or iron. Often, my recommendations are in line with supplemental laboratory data for the patient as well. What is nutrigenomics? What is nutrigenomics? I think I'm saying that right. A relatively new scientific discipline, nutrigenomics, focus on the relationship between genes, nutrition, and health. It seeks to explain how our bodies respond to what we eat and drink, and how we can use that knowledge to promote activity in our good genes and suppress it in the bad genes. Diet plans based on nutrigenomics rely on an analysis of your genetic makeup to inform dietary recommendations that meet your personal nutritional and health needs and help prevent nutrition-related chronic diseases. The ultimate goal of nutrigenomic testing is to identify subgroups of populations who may respond to diets differently or show distinct intolerances to food and susceptibility to diseases, says Dr. Lee Kwai, an adjunct professor of nutrition in the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health's Nutrition Department, told Today in an email. Such a goal is promising and increasingly supported by scientific evidence, including those from our studies. Kai explained that this type of personalized approach is expected to improve the efficacy of dietary recommendations. However, he said the research of nutrigenomics is still in its infancy. At this stage, it's more important to accumulate evidence than to generate recommendations. Personalized diet plans are not a new concept. They started gaining traction about 20 years ago with an approach that helped people lose weight by eating and exercising according to their blood type. The blood type diet garnered a lot of interest but lacked strong scientific backing. Nutrigenomics emerged in the early 2000s after the Human Genome Project was completed. HPG was completed. Though scientists were aware for decades that genes played a role in health, the HPG helped them gain new insights into the connection between bioactive compounds in food and their impact on genes and on health and on people's health. They discovered that lifestyle choices could direct genes to either work to the body's advantage or to its detriment. The science behind personalized testing. Multiple studies have shown that genetics come into play with our eating habits. Research also suggests that knowledge of our genetics can influence how we comply with dietary prescriptions. For example, in 2014, randomized control trials shows that participants who possessed the risk variant of the ACE gene, a gene that directs the body on blood pressure levels, were able to significantly reduce their sodium intake compared to the control group. They also maintained their lower sodium intake 1 year later. Another study published last month in the British Medical Journal demonstrated that individuals given nutrigenomic guided dietary advice for total fat and saturated fat intake significantly reduced their long-term intake compared to the gold standard population-based interventions. Other studies, however, have suggested that gene-based dietary interventions may become promising once Other studies, however, have suggested that gene-based dietary interventions may not be as promising as once thought. The results of randomized clinical trials that followed more than 600 overweight adults for a period of 12 months found that genotype eating approach was not associated with the dietary effect of weight loss. While this concept may have potential, more research is needed to affirm the efficacy of gene-based diets. Kai underscored that a balanced diet, exercise, and adequate sleep benefit everyone, regardless of their genomic makeup. But he suggested that certain subgroups are likely to be more sensitive to different diets. A low-fat versus a high-fat diet, for example, certain specific exercise regimens. However, current evidence is still far from sufficient for doctors and dietitians to provide practical guidelines, he said, and the personalized recommendations will be built on accumulating data in the future. The potential benefits of a DNA-based diet, the ability to customize diet and exercise plans based on an individual's genetics may be the next frontier in nutrition counseling. A personalized dietary plan may help increase compliance as well as help you target dietary and physical activity goals that are more in line with what works for your body. While food and nutrition guidelines set by government agencies are important to follow, evidence has demonstrated that those one-size-fits-all nutrition recommendations can be inefficient and often ineffective, said Dr. Ahmed El-Sami, a professor and Canada Research Chair in Nutrigenomics at the University of Toronto and founder and chief officer of Nutrigenomics, Inc., a company that does genetic testing for personalized nutrition. Dr. Christopher Lynch, the director of the Office of Nutrition Research at the National Institute of Diabetics and Digestive and Kidney Diseases, told Today in an email that the NIDDK's new 2020 to 2030 strategic plan for the NIH nutrition research is centered on the unifying theme of precision nutrition, which focuses on personalized eating plans based on DNA and includes nutrigenomics. There are many factors that affect individuals' responses to diet, including diet-gene interactions that need to be taken into account when developing comprehensive and dynamic nutritional recommendations relevant to both individual and population health, he said. Lynch also stressed that more research is needed to fully understand the impact of these factors and their interrelationships. And then finally, is nutrigenomic testing right for you? Genetic variation is an important component of why people differ from one another in their metabolism, says Dr. Steven Ziesel, the director of the Nutrition Research Institute at the University of North Carolina and founder of SNP Therapeutics, told Today in an email. Genetic testing and nutrigenetics have a lot to offer, but may not be ready yet to tell someone which diet will make them lose weight. Aside from the fact that research is still in its early phases, nutrigenomic testing isn't cheap, so cost can be a concern. The price for a test and analysis start around $300. Privacy is another common concern. Some individuals may worry that their genetic information could be used to discriminate against them in a job or with their health insurance coverage, said El-Sami. He also noted that the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act, GINA, was signed into law in May of 2008 and offers federal protection against such discrimination. There are dozens of tests on the market that provide analysis on the genes involved in nutrient metabolism and response, including Ancestry and 23andMe. But once you receive the results, you still need to seek out a specialist to analyze the raw data and make recommendations. If you're interested in learning more about DNA-based diets, speak to your doctor about getting a referral to a reputable medical group that offers nutrigenomic testing. Okay, so that's funny that the very end of this article offers an answer to my question of if you could, test your genetics on Ancestry or 23andMe, and it looks like you can. So there's that. Sorry for sniffling. I've had, the whole bloody nose thing. But the thing about nutrigenomic testing is it could be, this is from 2020. I haven't seen anything else, on Google or anything about nutrigenomic testing since this article. But this is like an affront to diet culture, because diet culture is designed to just keep us on this hamster wheel of doing these diets and always feeling like we want to change our bodies or be healthy or whatever. And if we were to find diets that fit us based on our genetics, then I wouldn't necessarily need to be sold, the MLM diet things, pills and teas that are pushed down our throats on TikTok, or, you know, follow a wellness food blogger necessarily if I have a diet that best fits my genetics. I mean, this is America. We will find a way to capitalize and make money off of anything. God forbid. But so I'm sure that if this does become a mainstream thing, you know, people will adapt and change their branding and their marketing around, you know, a specific diet. But this, I think it was an important article to look at, because if you are frustrated with a diet not working, maybe it's not the diet for you. Maybe genetically you should be, you know, catering your diet towards something else. This article did specifically mention a few times about how they don't have evidence that a genetic based diet results in any weight loss, but looks like we're still very early in the research on this. And I think there is something to the idea that dieting doesn't necessarily, the goal doesn't necessarily need to be weight loss. The dieting could be, you know, improving your skin, improving your blood levels, your overall health, your longevity, your ability to, you know, perform and be a human in the world. So, you know, there's that. I had some other TikToks I wanted to look at, but I have to get to work. I did have a bloody nose that derailed me a little bit, and I don't know how much time that took. So I don't know where we're at time-wise on the pod, but, you know, here we are at the end. The end has come. Thank you for sticking around. I apologize that it's a solo episode twice in a row. Like I said, I'll try to avoid that, but you know, scheduling is scheduling. People be getting COVID. What do you want? What do you want from me? I can't control people. Okay. Follow us on all the things. Look for us next week. Be good. I love you. Bye.